Abram had just rescued Lot from the hands of the tribal armies that had defeated the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah. We learn that Lot returned back to live in Sodom. We can feel for the sadness of his uncle Abram, who would probably wished that his nephew, having gone through such harrowing experiences of being held captive, would move his tents nearer to his uncle instead of returning back to that city of sin. The king of Sodom was indeed grateful for what Abram had done in defeating his enemies. We read, "And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him." Genesis 14:17. Presumably, the king of Sodom must be thanking Abram profusely for what he and his 318 armed servants had done. But just as they were engaging in a conversation, another king barged into these two men and interrupted their conversation. Then Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. He was the priest of God Most High. Genesis 14:18. Can we imagine this? Abram and the king of Sodom were talking, and then the king of Salem appeared suddenly and presented bread and wine to Abram, apparently ignoring the king of Sodom. There was something special about this king of Salem. Firstly, Melchizedek was introduced as a king and a priest. King of Salem, priest of God the Most High. This person was very unique. A person could either be a priest or a king, but not both. It was true of Canaanite kings who had their own high priests in their idolatrous worship. Secondly, Melchizedek was unrelated to Abram, but he worshipped the same God as Abram. Notice that he addressed Abram as one who was connected to God Most High. Blessed be Abram of God Most High. Verse 19. Secondly, he expressed worship and thanksgiving to God Most High, the same God as Abram. Blessed be God Most High, who had delivered your enemies into your hand. Verse 20. The God who revealed himself to Abram was the same God who revealed himself to Melchizedek. Thirdly, he offered bread and wine to Abram. This act was symbolic of entering into fellowship with Abram. Fourthly, he performed the priestly function of invoking a blessing on Abram and received tithes from Abram as what a priest would do on behalf of God. And he, Abram, gave him a tithe of all. Verse 20. We do get a hint that God was revealing to us something more than just a strange king making his sudden appearance to Abram. This revelation is found in the prophetic oracle of David. The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Psalm 101. The Lord has sworn and will not relent. You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. Psalm 104. The first mention of the word Lord was spelled with in all upper cases by our English Bible translators because of the original Hebrew word from which it was translated. Yahweh, the God of Israel, the one who revealed himself to Abram. The second occurrence was spelled by our English Bible translators with a capital L followed by lower cases for the other letters, because the original Hebrew word from which it was translated was Adonai, which of course is not less divine as Lord that was spelled in all upper cases. In the context of the Trinitarian Godhead, David in spirit heard the Lord, Yahweh, God the Father, speaking to his Son, our Lord Jesus, Lord, Adonai, promising him the kingdom. The Lord said to my Lord. It must be a powerful experience for David as he uttered this prophetic oracle. More significantly, David heard God the Father swore that he would not relent, making an irrevocable act that Jesus would be the priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. Psalm 104. Do we get an illusion that the person and the acts of Melchizedek towards Abraham all point to Christ, our eternal and great high priest?